This was
all right, ladies and gentlemen. We are live for Kamala Harris's concession speech. Boy, does it feel good to say that. Boy, does it feel good. It's still a surreal feeling for me. I got into, I guess, content creating about a year and a half ago, and I've been talking about Trump and his trials, the fake news, for a long time. It feels like forever. And I did it was like an 8-hour live stream last night. It was over 8 hours actually. And some of these other, I didn't expect to stay on that long. I didn't expect there was going to be a result last night. I mean, I guess it was early morning.
They were on the same page. I mean, Harris.
But we got a result, and it was a resounding victory. It was a resounding victory, and I couldn't even believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and that can be a blessing and a curse, right? And
we've got reports that Joe Biden, he already called Donald Trump to congratulate Donald Trump. Kamala Harris did the same thing, apparently. Of course, we don't have any audio of those calls, but that's what's been reported by Fox News. So I guess we're expecting a peaceful transfer of power. I mean, we got a Republican-controlled Senate. Looks like we're going to get a Republican-controlled House of Representatives. So Donald Trump has a clear path to enact his agenda, and I sincerely hope he does, because he made a lot of promises, and I believe he's going to keep them. So it's going to be an interesting speech. I wonder how long she's going to go. Kamala Harris is not usually one that really goes very long, of course. I guess it depends on her speechwriters and how long they made the speech. But I woke up this morning. I got a call from one of my other buddies who does former content creator on YouTube. He got taken down over election denial. His name is George, and we were talking. I was like, man, I was like, my eyes hurt. I was streaming for so long because in my studio here I have these lights. Like I have light here, two lights in back. Then I have my screens, and staring at them for the better part of 8 hours. It's not easy on the eyes, okay? But Kamala Harris was supposed to she's supposed to go live. She was supposed to go live at 3 o'clock. I don't know what's going on with this feed. Let me see if I can refresh this.
With what we were learning.
Okay, hopefully we're good. Hopefully we're good.
Saw the polls. Saw it was a neck and neck.
But yeah, so we're gonna hang out. We're gonna watch this speech.
How much do you think the polls?
It's gonna be interesting. Last night, I believe she was supposed to give a speech to all of the people that were attending her watch party, and she didn't. She just left. She left the watch party, didn't even address anybody. I thought that was a very bad move. I think that was a low class move. All the people that, I guess fought for her, that believed in her, even though, I mean, it was unbelievable that she was a candidate in the first place. I mean, I think most of us were just appalled by what the Democrat Party tried to do, myself included.
Resilience, his
just extremely low class, and she just left. And now, of course, everyone is clamoring. We got to hear something from Kamala Harris. We have to. So it's going to be interesting. As of right now, we are still waiting for the results in Nevada, Arizona, and Alaska to be officially called, I guess, by Associated Press. I mean, these, I think, could be pretty comfortably called for Donald Trump.
Systemic bias.
Arizona, according to the Associated Press, 61% reporting, Trump is up.
And that tells us that
Nevada, 85% reporting, Trump is up. And then, of course, Alaska is going to definitely go to Trump. But one thing I'm really disappointed in is the Senate race in Wisconsin.
all throughout this very.
After I went to bed, I went to bed thinking that Eric Hovde was going to win, or was going to flip Tammy Baldwin's Senate seat.
Answered that question. I think
Well,
it's safe to say maybe
late at night, after I went to bed, a bunch of votes came in,
but she always
and Tammy Baldwin squeaked by less than a percentage point,
incumbency is an advantage,
causing Eric Hovde to not advance
Last
and
time
not
she
win
could
the
not
seat. So Tammy Baldwin
the
is
last
still
3.5 years. She could not
senator
distinguish herself. She
in
could not
Wisconsin, which is very, very disappointing.
We always were
Big fan of
talking
Eric
about,
Hovde.
Live Now about how Kamala
I've
Harris
supported
would
him.
find herself time
He's
and
got a
time
good
again,
good
or make
mustache. I mean, that's just
decisions.
icing on the
And
cake.
Trump just had,
So that's where we're at right now. Donald Trump, I mean, just
racially
incredible victory. Like, I still can't believe it. It still is blowing my mind.
or Nixon here.
292 right now. We're looking at that for delegates.
Quite staggered, just the juxtaposition
He's
there.
going to be over 300.
Sometimes,
Won the popular vote. Massive indictment on what this government has done. They are saying, they're reporting that all of these lawsuits, all these trials, indictments against Trump are being dropped. All these cases. Jack Smith, he's done. They're done.
And that's just your best predictor.
They're all going away.
Especially if that
And
if he's not on the ballot.
it's good to see.
Vice president
It's good to see. Bye, Felicia. I'm glad. I hope I never have to hear about Jack Smith again. The guy is just total trash. Total trash. But let's hang out for a little bit, guys, while we wait for Kamala Harris.
Don't like that guy, and you work for that guy. That's a simple message, and they seem to have just made that calculation and say, our best
Republican Senate, Republican House, let's go. The world is about to be a better place. Yes, the world is about to be a better place. So we got Ashton Williams. He said, Kamala, you're fired. Yeah, you're fired. Donald Trump.
Stupid.
He ended a lot of his rallies saying, Kamala, you're fired.
With Trump,
Colin Hayes says, hello. Anyone been enjoying some freedom fries today? Yeah, I've had a few of those. Michelle says, oh, well, Unwoke Thoughts, at least you don't have a tampon Tim like I do. Hey, yes, you're right. Michelle, I feel for you. He's still your governor, so you still have to deal with that. So. But at least, at the very least, silver lining, the whole country doesn't have to deal with tampon Tim. I mean, I feel like that was just a giant mistake on her part to pick Tim Walz. I mean, she could have picked Josh Shapiro in the most important state, the linchpin state for her to win. So I still don't understand why she didn't do that. I've heard it had to do with the fact that he is Jewish, and Democrats. There's a large part of the Democrat population who is against the war in the Middle East. But I really don't know. I feel like she would have done a lot better if she actually picked Josh Shapiro, because Tim Walz was. There was just so much material there. So much material there to go after him with his stolen valor, with his tampons in the boys' bathroom. I mean, it was just bad. The Tiananmen Square situation where he said he was in China during Tiananmen Square. Then he said he was a knucklehead because he forgot that he wasn't. It's just like, all right, Tim. I don't think anybody believes you. And it's interesting, too. I think it was Van Jones on CNN today. They are still advancing this narrative that it's sexism and racism that kept Kamala Harris from winning. And it's like they never learn.
On the top of the ticket.
It's like, no, I don't think it's sexism. I don't think it's racism. I think it's the fact that you guys are liars. Have you guys ever tried that? Have you guys ever tried telling the truth? Even when it might be, unfortunate. And that's maybe something that they should try. And instead of always falling back on this victim mentality, like, oh, we're victims. Kamala Harris is a victim. She's a victim of sexism. She's a victim of racism. Nobody wanted to see a brown woman in the White House. She was like, I think the people that actually believe that way are a very, very tiny minority. I think most people just want their politicians to at least, be somewhere in the realm of reality and not gaslight them and try to manipulate them and propagandize them all the time. So I think that's
in a Senate election, which
I think that's more of what's going on than sexism and racism. I'm personally tired of hearing all of these accusations being thrown out there
within Senate ranks.
That Republicans are sexist, racist, or whatever you want to call it.
In my own brain.
But man, Kamala Harris, she's late.
Some of the themes with this
She is late, guys.
Especially about Kamala Harris as a
Give
candidate.
me one quick second.
She underperformed with so many groups that Biden did so well with in 2020. And in some of these really, really solidly blue states, Maryland, Illinois, New York. She only won New Jersey by 5. Some of these states that are solidly Democratic, she underperformed Biden there. She underperformed Biden with, the youth vote, that 829.
All right, we're back.
With minorities, with black.
Patty Pretty says the color of the skin has no credibility.
So
absolutely correct. Michelle C says, please smash that like button. Yes. I woke up this morning, I was like, kind of when the presidential campaign started to heat up, because I was covering Trump's trials, the Fannie Willis stuff going on in Fulton County. Did a lot of streaming about that. And then the presidential campaign started heating up with Biden, and then Biden dropped out, then Kamala was installed. And it's just been nonstop coverage of Trump and Kamala. Trump and Kamala. It was Biden and Trump. Then it was Trump and Kamala. Trump and Kamala. It's like every single video. And when I woke up this morning, I'm thinking, what do I talk about now? What do I talk about now? I'll find some. I'll find something to talk about. Because there's plenty to talk about. There's plenty going on.
And who cares?
The work is not done. The work is not done. And I mean, even myself, I am not going to be someone that's just a cheerleader for the Trump administration. There's talks about him bringing in Mike Pompeo for Secretary of Defense. No, that's for me, that's a resounding no. The people, Trump,
Kamala Harris was trying to go for it.
I love Trump. But some of these people that he's bringing into his administration, I'm 100% against. Mike Pompeo can't be anywhere near this administration. I hope Trump makes the right decision there. We got Ron Paul teaming up with Elon Musk. That's going to be huge. RFK Jr., he's already been given talks about dismantling parts of the FDA. So that's massive. Talking about fluoride again, removing fluoride from the water. And that's huge because, I mean, I have a water filter that actually removes fluoride. And I'm a huge proponent of that. I think it's poison.
That when you look 4 years down the line, this is not a good use of resources now, meaning their map is shrinking.
But Ashton Williams says, I stayed up all night trying to keep an eye on it, guys.
They were really excited.
Yeah, it was weird. Some of these, I mean, Carrie Lake, she lost her seat, or I mean, she didn't lose her seat. She didn't win her seat. Gallego squeaked by. I was talking about this with George today, and he said, it just doesn't make sense. I was like, yeah, it's almost like the Democrats gave up on the presidency, the White House, and they decided they could only, inject a few votes in for some of these down ballot races. So it's very disappointing. Mike Rogers, I believe, lost in Michigan. So we got Mike Rogers lost, Eric Hovde lost, Carrie Lake lost.
I can't wait. It is going to be a bestseller, and I hope that I'm the first.
Kim Gates says Dan Bongino for head of Secret Service. Hey, I would be okay with that 100%.
What the Democratic message
I like Dan Bongino.
Right now, it is not
great guy.
at least have public
great guy.
Fights about who's to blame. But there is an interesting moment here where it would probably say more that she didn't show up or other leaders didn't show up in support of their candidate than if they did. And what does that mean for them?
Maria says Shapiro turned Kamala down. Did he?
They're going to have a lot of
I didn't read that.
About this going forward.
That's surprising. Okay.
Right now it is all about
I did hear someone say something about Shapiro wants to run for office for the presidency. Oh, here we got Tim Walz
at this event as well. Getting a round of applause.
Let's go full screen here.
Because there was some controversy, some discussion over his pick as VP, and that goes into the blame game as well that we've been talking about, Casey, with you.
Tim Walz, Gwen Walz.
Was this a pick? Was he in the realm?
And this speech, I believe, is at what, Howard University?
To maybe sway the election. Was his pick controversy? And can we look back at that at all?
People are, and they've already started, but even picking Josh Shapiro in the one state you had to win wouldn't have stemmed the tide. This is what I mean when you say that we're looking for simple answers, and the reality is that not much could have changed us outside of a different economy and definitely a more popular president, incumbent president, passing the reins down to his.
Let me go to this view right here. Here we go. Okay, Fox News. A little bit ahead here.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me say, and I love you back. And I love you back. So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting.
Is that a drunk burp? I don't know. That sounded a little bit of acid reflux there.
To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue. And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers who gave so much of themselves, to the poll workers and the local election officials, I thank you. I thank you all. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran and the way we ran it. And the way we ran it over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country, with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future. And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
Oh, really? To Hitler? You want to transfer it to Hitler? Weird.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
Not to the deep state, not to the machine.
And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
What fight? What are you talking about? What?
The fight for freedom,
Oh.
for opportunity, for fairness,
Okay.
and the dignity of all people.
Oh.
A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up.
And how do you want to win that fight? Censorship.
I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld. And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor, by always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work, but like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work.
Did you just cop an Obama accent right there?
And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it.
I agree. That's why you're out.
To the young people who are watching, it is... I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed. But please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain, and yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge. And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars.
Oh, profound.
I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time. But for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service. HU. And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. And there is her totally straight husband right there. Duck him off. Who thinks she's going to come back? Who thinks Kamala Harris is coming back? Do you think she's going to be running for anything in the future? I honestly, I don't see how. I think she did so abysmally. I don't feel like the Democrats are going to use her for anything else. But then again, I don't know. They dumped a lot of money into her. I've seen people on Twitter saying, "Oh, she did so much with such short amount of time. I mean, that she did so good." And you got to look at how much money was dumped into her campaign. It was like nearly $1 billion. Everywhere you turned, there was another Kamala Harris ad. And the weirdest and craziest of places. I was talking on a live stream. This was yesterday during the election live stream. My TV, my Roku TV, you go to the home screen where you select the apps or whatever. And there's always this one small little advertisement. It's usually something random, like maybe like a HBO Max like TV show or something like that. And I don't even hardly ever look at it. But at this particular moment, it caught my eye, and it was an ad for Kamala Harris. I was like, what? She's putting ads. They're putting ads for her on Roku, on the home screen of Roku. Everywhere you turn is another Kamala Harris ad. Like, I would probably say like 75, 80% of the ads that I got on YouTube were Kamala Harris ads. Every time I went out to eat, every time, anywhere I went, Kamala Harris ads, billboards. So they spent a crazy amount of money on Kamala Harris. So when these people are saying, well, she did so much in such a short amount of time, it's just like, no, they propped her up. They did everything that they could to polish her up to make her look like a legitimate candidate. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't working. I'm going to go through a couple of these videos here really quick. We got Jack Smith. His cases are essentially dead. This is very good news. Let me unmute this really quick.
Yeah, Chris, it's not a surprise that these cases can't go forward when Donald Trump takes office. What's interesting here is that the DOJ is moving to end them even before he takes office, citing the long-standing DOJ policy that sitting presidents can't be prosecuted. And there was some thought that maybe Special Counsel Jack Smith was going to sprint through the finish line, was going to work up until the last day, force Trump to fire him, wait till a new attorney general was appointed. But that does not appear to be the thinking inside the department. The thinking is that these cases can't go forward. There's no reasonable prospect of getting to trial within the 3 months before Donald Trump takes office. These cases are mired in legal issues that would be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court had Donald Trump lost the election. So now that he's won the election, DOJ officials are thinking that, look, there's just no room to move in these cases. And so the sensible thing to do is to figure out a way to wind them down. And it may stem from Donald Trump's lawyers filing some kind of motion or making a request saying, in light of the DOJ policy, you need to drop these cases. Now, there are a few wrinkles here, one of which is that the classified documents case includes 2 other defendants who are not subject to that policy, and it's been dismissed, obviously, but that dismissal has been appealed, and the DOJ considers that ruling to be very bad law that it would like to be overturned. So that appeal may continue in some form, but the reality is that Donald Trump is not going to be a part of these cases. And what this means, I mean, we knew this, right? But just coming to grips with what this means intellectually is that Donald Trump is not likely to be held accountable on these very serious federal criminal charges that many people believe were worse than what Richard Nixon did or was doing in Watergate. Now,
so yeah, Donald Trump is not going to be held accountable. No, I think what's more interesting to look at is the fact that all of America, well, the vast majority of America just didn't believe your trash, lying justice system coming out of New York and Fulton County, and the federal charges from Jack Smith. We didn't believe it. We don't believe it. I covered that hush money case. The transcript that was put out there, I read every single day, and it was striking how biased it was. And this was a judge. It was a judge doing these things. That's when I really had my eyes open. Like I knew that, there was corruption out there, but I still held on to this slight notion that, at least in our justice system, at least, you can bring frivolous charges, but at least most of the times it's going to come out. It's going to come out. And then I saw how Judge Juan Merchan conducted himself, especially, I think one of the most obvious things is towards the end there, when he gave the jury instructions, and they were so hodgepodge and just weirdly written. And he would not give a copy of the jury instructions to any of the jury members. So when any of the jury members, when they're in deliberations and they had a question and they had to look at the jury instructions, what did they had to do? They had to go to Judge Merchan themselves. Why? So that he could steer them in the direction that he wanted to steer them. And that was convicting Donald Trump. It's already, the deck is stacked against him because it's, blue, Democrat, liberal New York. But they even had to stack it more by doing that. That's when I was like, what is going on? What is going on in New York? It's a trash justice system. Now you have Letitia James coming out and still talking about going after Donald Trump or fighting back. I forget. She gave this speech. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, she came out. She gave an address about Donald Trump after his win. This is what our good friend Letitia James had to say. Yeah, she is still relevant, apparently.
Roll back our rights. To respond to any attempt to roll back our rights. So here we are. We've studied their platforms. We've identified certain possibilities, fact patterns. We've created contingency plans. So no matter what the next administration throws at us, we're ready. We're ready to respond to their attacks. We're ready to respond to any attempts to cut or eliminate any funding to the great state of New York, as the governor outlined. So despite what has happened on the national stage, we will continue to stand tall in the face of injustice, revenge, or retribution. We will continue to protect and our most vulnerable and marginalized amongst us, to respond to any attempt to roll back our rights.
Just absolutely just unhinged. How did she become attorney general? Like, what is that even? Bernie Sanders talking. I think one of the best speeches was Steve Bannon. I'll end with this one. This was one of the best speeches I heard. One of the best responses I heard coming out after Trump won. And boy, is Steve Bannon just such a... I just love the guy. He's the best. He's the GOAT. He's kind of, in the background now. He's not as much in the forefront as he was in 2016, but I think what this guy says just hits every time. Listen.
You stole the 2020 election. You've mocked and ridiculed and put people in prison and broken people's lives because you said this thing was stolen. This entire phony thing is getting swept out. Biden's getting swept out. Kamala Harris is getting swept out. MSNBC is getting swept out. The Justice Department's getting swept out. The FBI is getting swept out. You people suck, okay? And now you're going to pay the price for trying to destroy this country. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to get to the bottom of where are the 600,000 votes. You manufactured them to steal this election for President Trump in 2020. And think where this country would be if we hadn't gone through the last 4 years of your madness, okay? You don't deserve any respect, you don't deserve any empathy, and you don't deserve any pity. And if anybody gives it to you, it's Donald J. Trump, because he's got a big heart and he's a good man. A good man that you're still going to try to put in prison on the 26th of this month. This is how much you people suck, okay? You've just tried to destroy his business thing, and he came back in the greatest show of political courage, I think, in world history. Like Cincinnatus coming back from the plow. He's the American Cincinnatus. And what he has done is a profile in courage. We've had his back, but I got to tell you, he may be empathetic. He may have a kind heart. He may be a good man, but we're not, okay? And you deserve, as Natalie Winters says, not retribution, justice. But you deserve what we call rough Roman justice, and we're prepared to give it to you. So,
I completely agree, Steve. I completely agree. I don't know if Trump's going to do it. I don't know. I mean, he's right. Trump he's a forgiving guy. For all they put out about Donald Trump, all the fear mongering, all the claims that he's going to be like Hitler. Trump is a nice guy, more forgiving than I would be. But there does need to be some sort of justice. I mean, especially for these J6ers. Every one of those need to all of those cases need to go. I mean, if there's maybe someone who did something criminal, like maybe smash a window, whatever. I mean, whatever, I get it. But that's not that shouldn't be a multiple year sentence. Time served. Release the J6ers. Stop with censorship. Let's move forward. Let's actually be Americans. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think? I'm going to hop off of here in a bit. We got Mama Bear in the chat. Hey, thank you, Mama Bear. Some of my great members. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I'm just still basking in the victory. I can't believe it. I walked outside and I was like, whoa, it looks a little bit brighter out here today. It looks crazy. It's like a weight lifted off my back. Because for a long time, it was like this anxiety, like how they are going after Donald Trump and how the censorship apparatuses work. Some of you know I've been censored on. I mean, it was YouTube. It was a big portion of my income taken away by YouTube, and that all ties into this leftist ideology and how they want to control what you think, what you say, and ultimately what you do. So that concerns me. And then, of course, COVID was huge, was a big part of why I say and do and act the way I do today. I couldn't believe what was going on. Michelle C says 110 subpoenas you all served Eric Trump with. Yeah. They didn't just go after Trump, they went after his family. And it's just disgusting. It's just the whole machine, how they operate. They kill squirrels. They kill cute little squirrels and raccoons. I mean, any government that does stuff like that, you've got to do something about it. You got to do something. Michelle says, check out Jake Lane's post on Twitter after 4 years in prison. Unbelievable. Jake Lang, I know that guy. He's him and George are good friends. Let me take a look at it. I have not seen it. A message from the J6 hostages to our tyrannical captors, to every crooked FBI agent that hunted down innocent Americans that kicked down our doors, points guns at our family, we forgive you. To every corrupt George Soros federal prosecutor who persecuted and destroyed our fledgling lives, we forgive you. To every prejudiced mainstream news anchor who crucified us to the public and decimated our good names, we forgive you. To every hate-filled prison guard who put their hands on me and my brothers to hurt and maim us into communist complacency, we forgive you. To every biased member of our D.C. jury pools that railroaded us into political prisons when you were our last hope in humanity, and you failed us, we forgive you. To every feckless and spineless member of the GOP, including my congressman, Mark Molinaro, who was just unseated last night, who abandoned us and let us rot in dungeons. This one is hard, but we forgive you. To Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Christopher Wray, and Merrick Garland, your malicious bloodlust against constitutionalists nearly killed us for 4 years in your gulag, but we forgive you. To the hell-bent liars of the January 6th committee, Select Committee, you showed us the evil, weaponized side of Congress. You doctored a narrative against us to pulverize us in front of the world. We forgive you. To our impossibly broken and manipulated federal judges, what the devil intended for evil in your hearts, God used for good, but we forgive you. To every Marxist, Democrat, and Uniparty Republican that voted these cowards into power, that nearly eviscerated my young life, I pray God opens your eyes to the love of Christ, and I forgive you. It is the glory of a man to overlook an offense. God's word is alive in my heart, and I offer you a better way forward to restore America. Repent for your sins before God and turn from your wicked, ignorant ways. Father will hear from heaven and replenish our land when the evil repent. There will be no bitterness in my heart as I walk out of these doors in 75 days on Inauguration Day. The mercy I have received from God is too sweet to mix with hatred. Let's rebuild our country. MAGA victory. Jake Lang. Wow. This is coming from a guy who's went through hell. That's hard to do, to say I forgive you. I mean, I believe that you should forgive, but at some point, I think there has to be justice. There has to be. Joey Clerkland with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Joy. And thank you guys for hanging out. I'm going to get off of here. Just wanted to make sure we got everything wrapped up. We have Kamala Harris giving her concession speech. Pretty non-eventful. Not a whole lot, just mainstream media, doing their normal thing, coping, trying to justify what happened, trying to find a reason why Kamala lost so badly. She did not improve in one single county from Biden's corrupt win, quote unquote win in 2020. Not one improvement. Not one improvement. In fact, she got 18 million less votes, I believe. I believe it was around 18 million less votes than what Biden, got in 2020. Like, where did all those votes go? Huh? Where did all those Democrats go? That's weird. Huh? And I saw this graph that had, the past, 2 years, and then there was 2020 and then 2024. And all of the bars on the bar graph are, pretty close. Pretty close. But then you have one giant bar on this bar graph sticking up. Giant. In 2020 for Joe Biden. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. Let me see. Do I have it? I might have it in. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is the graph right here. So we've got 2012 Democrats, Republicans, 2016 Democrats, Republicans. This is the popular vote. And then 2020 giant. Where'd all those votes go? That's crazy. 81 million votes. 81 million for Joe Biden. Then we have 2024. And if you look here, the Democrats kind of stayed pretty close to around the same amount. Just above, so what, 60, maybe 67, 68 million votes. Then you have 2020, the outlier. It's like, whoa, what is that? So I'm going to end with that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your day. And I'll see you on the next one. God bless.